Welcome back to the Wake Up Call, coming to you live from Reno, Nevada, specifically the Berner Morris Hotel on 4th Street. We're in Studio M, and you're watching LoadedTV.com. My name is Natalie Jones, and we have the distinct pleasure of being able to talk to Mikhail, who is coming to us from Moscow, and we'll have to ask him what time of day it is there now. But he's going to be talking a little bit about what's been going on, specifically over, well, in the Ukraine and as well as in Moscow. Good morning. Good morning, Mikhail.
Hello, everyone.
And
Hi, can you hear me?
we can.
Wonderful.
What time is it there?
It's just past 10 p.m.
Oh, my. I guess I should have known that. Well, thank you so much again for taking, staying up late and talking to us. It is morning here. So there's been a lot, I know you do different things and you're right there in the midst of everything that's going on. What will you say some of the developments have been?
Well, I'm not in the midst of it. I'm just following it very closely.
Well, closer to us.
But basically, there's not much going on. I mean, the Crimean situation is exactly the same as it was. There's just some Russian troops there, and nothing's really happening. There's no shooting going on. There's no killing going on, which is the most important thing at this moment in time. There's a lot of, in my opinion, fake movements towards diplomacy, because at this point in time, I think the West still hopes that Putin will just draw back, which I really doubt is going to happen. So you've got a lot of meetings, you've got UN meetings, you've got various leaders and prime ministers of governments meeting in Paris. You've got Kerry meeting with Lavrov, who is the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia. At this present moment, they're still in the meeting actually, so we don't really know what's happening yet. You've got some minor developments here and there, but nothing big really has happened so far.
Yeah, and it is interesting, I think, because we're getting, obviously, an American media view right now, and I do know that Kerry just landed yesterday, and there's been a lot of speculation over here about, is America sticking their hands in something that they shouldn't be sticking their hands into?
Well, I think partly, at least, in Newland's leaked conversation a few weeks ago, that sort of pretty much set this whole thing up, because the government right now, the Ukrainian government, looks exactly like she described in that phone conversation. You can actually say that that conversation was purely theoretical, and she was just discussing things and how it might look like. And then suddenly she showed up about 2 or 3 times in the Maidan during the whole protest. And after the protest, the government looks exactly the same as she predicted. I don't believe in coincidence personally, but you could write it off as a conspiracy theory for this moment in time. On the other hand, the whole Kerry scenario yesterday looked a little fake to me again. I mean, you can say I'm biased, but it just looked fake. And the guy came in, he was crying with the Ukrainians, and he cared about the Ukrainians so much. I mean, to be honest, ask the American public how many of them heard of or know where Ukraine actually is. Until these couple of weeks, not many people have heard about it. And suddenly Kerry comes off as though who is scared about the Ukrainian people forever. And to be honest, I'm sure the Russian politics are exactly the same. I mean, politicians usually don't really care about people, they care about their own interests. And at this point in time, there's certain interest by the US to have a presence in that region. And obviously, Putin being opposed to the Syrian question is partly responsible for that too. So it's natural. Politicians are going to go over there right now expressing their concerns about how badly they feel for the plight of the Ukrainian people, but in reality they just care about where the interests are. And that's always the case.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that you are right about people not having an understanding until something like this happens. My family, my grandmother's from the Ukraine. I mean, she's passed on. So I have, a little more interest just because of my family history. I do think that the American people are confused, and I agree that I think a lot of things are coming out that maybe we're getting information. All we can, a lot of times what Americans might say is, well, why is Russia being so mean to the Ukraine, or why is Putin so aggressive? That's what they think.
Sounds a little childish when you put it that way. You know, why is Russia being,
Well, right.
Why is being like the nexus of evil or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
But you have to look at the facts right now, right? I mean, you can call this things whatever you want, but no shots have been fired, nobody's been killed. That's the bottom line.
Okay.
You can, again, make it look anything you like in the media, but even the most conservative of journalists right now still actually point out that nothing really happened there. I mean, if you read the Washington Post or the New York Times, they say exactly the same thing. They will put Russia, they will make Russia look a little unfavorable, but at the same time they can't make, as some people have made the connections to the Hitler, you can't make connections like this if you stay in there. You can't make 60,000 troops in Crimea look like the invasion of Poland in 1939.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, you can look at a teddy bear and say teddy bear is evil, but it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So, to be honest, it's all hysteria, and that's what actually annoys me most about this whole situation, is that the Russians as well as the Ukrainians are creating so much hysteria, with the propaganda that they're running in both countries. And I've seen as much hysteria from the Ukrainians as I've seen from the Russians, and even from the more from the Ukrainians at this point. Because you've got all these different reports that bear no value at all in terms of information. They're just made up completely just to make people, oppose the other party base.
Huh.
And that's worrying because a lot of the people who are not as informed as they probably should be, and who don't browse the internet as much, and who don't have the advantage of speaking English to be able to read the other view, not just the Russian and Ukrainian view, they become zombies virtually of the propaganda that they read. And that's a worry bit, because there's the very close ties between Russians and Ukrainians history, and those pretty much are threatened right now, because people get propaganda basically makes them turning and that's very, very dangerous.
Right. Yeah, propaganda is always dangerous all around. Can we speak just a little bit about Putin had a press conference? How did you feel that went?
It's a politician's press conference. I mean, how can a politician's press conference go? They're all the same to me.
Well, but people are looking to him, to either represent or what he's, what his next actions are going to be. And I just didn't know if you had found him to be his normal self, or did he seem...
I think he's completely normal. He's exactly as he always is. He never gives anything away in those things. Seriously, like, you can read, again, as much as you want into words, but really, he didn't give anything away at all. I mean, nobody knows what he's doing that. The only thing that did give away, which is pretty obvious anyway, before the conference, is that he's not going to really budge. He's not going to move. His position on this whole issue. It's the same thing as when I was watching Kerry's press conference out of Ukraine. It was exactly the same thing. It's just a politician's press conference. They just say things that they're never actually going to do. It's like the whole sanctions issue that Kerry keeps bringing up. It's never going to happen. And you know it's not going to happen, and the foreign press knows it's not going to happen, all the American journalists know it's not going to happen, all the British ones do, the Russian ones, everyone knows it's not going to happen. So you just look at it with a little bit of sarcasm and think, all right, okay, fine, and you're speaking to voters here, fair enough, next type thing. And putting the press conference is exactly the same. It's like, I'll tell you what you want to hear, and, let's be done with it. I've said my word. Whatever you want them to.
Okay, so they are reporting. I don't know if you heard any of this in the New York Times, that German Chancellor Angela Merkel was trying to talk to Putin, and I guess their words were talk some sense into him. I don't know, how. I know he has pretty good relationship with with Germany, and I just wondered what you thought about that.
It's a little more complex. I mean, basically, if you've read and if you follow the story closely, in all media sources, doesn't matter which country you look at, really what's happening is that the US is voicing, wishes to impose sanctions again, like I said, they can't really impose sanctions, but they're voicing concern. And Europe really doesn't want to do it because Europe depends on Russia not just for gas and nuclear fuel, which was stopped today, and that was a huge public outside of Europe, but also for exports, because Europe exports a lot of goods to Russia, like cars and various products. And for Europe and the state of the economies, the European economies in right now, any sort of sanctions against Russia are detrimental. They're really, really bad. So you've got this little confrontation between the US and Europe as well, where the US is trying to force Europe to impose some sanctions, and Europe is never going to do that, including the UK. And you've got, information going back and forth, and that bit was part of that information as well, because the Germans are vigorously denying that ever took place, and Merkel was saying, all she said was she spoke to Putin, and Putin was still really far off in terms of being anywhere close to their
okay.
Very far off from each other.
Okay.
Whether she actually said those words or not, we're never going to know unless they keep the phone conversation.
Well, I agree, yeah. Okay, well, Mikhail, I want to thank you so much because you're giving us information that we wouldn't be able to get anywhere else. And we do truly appreciate it. And hopefully you'll keep us updated as things progress. Hopefully they'll progress in a good way. I don't know who it's good for, though. I mean, somebody's going to be unhappy. So I do appreciate you calling in, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you later this week or next week. Thank you. So there you have it. That is live from Moscow. It was about 10 p.m. Their time there. I know you guys had a lot of questions. There's a lot going on in that situation, and as Mikhail put it, he is not there necessarily, but he's a lot closer than we are. And you have to, I guess it's always, I know the question's answered. So I will get back, and we're going to take a quick break, but we will talk a little bit more when we get back from the break. You're watching the Late Wake Up Call on LoadedTV.com.